So this week, Waco ISD celebrates its 25th anniversary. Opened in 2000, September of 2000. And we're going to have some stories coming up to celebrate that milestone, one from each of y'all. Um, Stadium has hosted a lot of big playoff games over the years. It's hosted a fair amount of state championship games before all those moved off to Jerry World. Um, Probably start with Chad on this question just because you've been around longer, but how important has this venue been for Waco and Central Texas? I mean, and then Michael, you can chime in because you're actually doing a story as well. So
Yeah, I think this is an area in life where Waco was a trendsetter and maybe ahead of the curve on things because, we built this stadium, Waco ISD built this stadium, and it was like I, it was a little bit before all of these others started popping up. Maybe around the same time. I remember covering games at Birdville ISD Athletic Complex back when I was working in Fort Worth, and that was a really nice stadium, and it's about the same thing, a big concrete stadium with a big college style press box. I mean, I don't want to get carried away, but I think when Waco ISD Stadium was built, uh, Baylor hadn't renovated its press box very many years before that, right? And
mm-hmm.
so all of a sudden you had a high school stadium with the press box that was comparable, to what Baylor had just a few years before that. And it's because we're in those press boxes so often. We've been in plenty of situations where you just kind of squeeze in between the guy that's running the scoreboard and the radio team if you can, and all of a sudden you got elbow room. We've always had a little place there with our placard on there at Waco ISD Stadium, and that's talking about the press box. And then it's also a high school football stadium that can seat, I don't know what, 15,000
I
people,
think
something,
12 maybe.
12,000
Yeah.
people. And then the other thing about Waco ISD that it had the potential for is to have fans on those grass berms at both ends. And there have
Hmm.
been a few games through the years where those were full. And like I said, it was a trendsetter. When you go back and interview some of the stars of high school football in Texas, they remember games that were played at Baylor Stadium back in the 70s and 80s, playoff games. And then some of those started to migrate to be at Waco ISD Stadium. It's also right there, right off I-35, so it was a perfect location. Just a great place for high school football playoffs. And honestly, like, I wish that they had kept 2A, six man, maybe even 3A in a stadium like that instead of going to a cavernous situation like AT&T Stadium. Now, I understand those kids get a thrill out of playing there, and that's fantastic. But you know, uh, it's hard to beat a state championship game at Waco ISD Stadium.
And
I
yeah,
agree with everything you said, Chad. Well, the one
Mm-hmm.
thing I'll add to that, Bryce, real quick, I moved to Waco 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and the first time I saw Waco ISD Stadium, like, first off, I thought it was incredible, and I think that was the first place I covered a game back in
hmm.
2022. That was the
Mm-hmm.
first stadium I ever covered a game. I would have never guessed it was even 20 years old. Seriously, like, and that's
Hmm.
not me trying to just,
No, no,
show
it's
some
in good
love to the
shape.
local. I mean, so not only was it ahead of its time, because I agree with you, Chad, I think it was
Mm-hmm.
clearly built to last. I mean, this sucker, I think it could
Mm-hmm.
easily get another 25, probably longer. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that thing it really aged like fine wine, in all honesty. I mean, we've had good luck over there for photo day. I mean, it's really the turf is nice, the scoreboard setup's good, the press
Mm-hmm.
box is fantastic. Like, you can't say enough good about it. And so I
Well,
would say, yeah, go ahead.
let me add one thing to that. They built a beautiful building, a great football facility, and then they managed it well and they handled it well. And they didn't make us in the media feel like we were tracking mud on their brand new thing by coming into it. They let us use it and cover games there. And you go to a lot of brand new stadiums in Dallas Fort Worth, and I won't name names, although I could, and they act like, well, we built this stadium and you're not going to come into it and mess it up, you
Yeah,
know.
no, you're absolutely right, Chad. And I feel like that hospitality goes even beyond what you're talking about with us and
Mm-hmm.
the media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you could take it back to the days of Jack Moss, Joanna Denson, Johnny
Mm-hmm.
Tusa, Jack
Mm-hmm.
Stanley, and now Ed Love and Rodney Smith and Ed Trocum.
Mhm.
Waco ISD has gained a really good reputation as being a hospitable host. And
Mhm.
we've done stories over the years about how seriously they embrace that mission. And it's because they know, um, A, it's the right thing to do, but B, it gets you repeat customers. And they'll
Mhm.
go, oh, yeah, we had that playoff game back in 2017 at Waco ISD. Let's go back there again. They treated us really well.
Mhm.
And so I think that's one reason why they've been able to host so many games, other than the fact that, like you said, they are centrally located.